Today I want to provide you with some tips for the number one problem that people have when backpacking, and that's staying comfortable. It makes sense. You're miles from civilization with only the gear that you're carrying on your back, but some people think that being uncomfortable is inevitable and that you should just embrace it. They are wrong. There are 5 things that I've discovered make a really big difference for comfort when you're out on the trail, and today I'm going to share those 5 things with you. The first mistake might seem obvious, but I constantly see people not bringing chairs on backpacking trips. This results in them either having to sit uncomfortably on a log or a rock, or stealing chairs from their friends. Here's looking at you, Jesse. The solution seems simple: bring a chair on your backpacking trips. But I have some hacks in order to maximize your comfort when using a chair, as well as a sneak peek at a new chair coming out in 2024. There are a lot of chair options out there. If you're on a budget, then you can pick up one that weighs about 2 pounds on Amazon that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. But if you want to go as lightweight as possible, then you're going to be looking at the Helinox Chair Zero or the REI Flexlite Air chair. Both weigh about a pound while still being pretty comfortable. But they can be a little cold as wind or cold air breezes along your backside. In order to solve that, bring a Z-seat or a thin sit pad in order to put down on your chair before you sit on it. That's going to insulate your butt from that cold air.
The sneak peek that I have for you is a new chair coming out in 2024 from Nemo that will rival the Chair Zero and Flexlite Air for weight, but has some really innovative features to make it more comfortable. It has adjusters on the sides, so you can go from reclining mode to upright mode and back again. I love this feature because I can recline the chair when I want to lounge and take a load off, or put it into upright mode and doing things like cooking or sitting around a fire.
The other thing Nemo did was they made it so that the case for the chair also acts as a ground mat. If you've ever used an ultralight chair on sand or soft ground, you know that the legs are going to sink into the ground, which makes it very unstable and sometimes a little bit dangerous. But with the included ground mat, you can stick each leg into one of the corners, put it on the ground, and it's not going to sink into the ground. With the Chair Zero, you have to buy the ground mat separately for a lot of money. So it's nice that Nemo is including this, and it doesn't add a ton of weight because it's doubling as the case for the chair. One of the most common questions that I see backpackers asking is, what sleeping pad should I get? But a lot of people are making the mistake of accepting recommendations for popular pads like the Thermarest X-Lite without looking at other options. The X-Lite is a great pad. It has one of the best warmth to weight ratios out there, but it's also one of the more uncomfortable pads I've ever tested, and I've tested dozens of pads. There are 3 pad features that I think you should really be paying attention to if you're going to prioritize comfort with a sleeping pad. The first one is width. The regular standard width for a sleeping pad is 20 inches, but 25 inches is going to provide you a lot more real estate to toss and turn and be comfortable on the pad. Unless you're trying to go as lightweight as possible, I don't think there's any reason really to be using a 20-inch pad over a 25-inch pad like I have right here. The second thing is making sure that the pad is warm enough. While R value is a great starting point for determining how warm a pad might sleep, I've tested a bunch of different pads in real-world conditions and have discovered that pads with the same R value might sleep differently once you actually get them out into the field. For example, the Zoom UL and the Nemo Tensor both have very similar R values, but the Zoom UL sleeps a lot colder in my experience than the Nemo Tensor. In a second here, I'll give you some recommendations for pads that are both warm and comfortable. The third thing is to avoid pads with horizontal baffles unless you primarily sleep on your back, and look for pads like this Etherlite XT that has a dimpled baffling system. These little dimples kind of act like springs, so as you're laying on the pad, they press down, relieving pressure in a very effective way. For me, the only pads that allow me to consistently sleep through the night without waking up due to arms falling asleep and being uncomfortable are pads that have this dimpled pattern. Vertical baffles are another option that work really well for some people and slot in between horizontal baffles and dimpled baffles for me as far as comfort goes. I have a few recommendations for comfortable sleeping pads for you. In order, it starts off with the REI Helix. It's both warm and comfortable. Second is the Etherlite XT that I have right here. It's extremely comfortable, but not very warm, so definitely only get this if you live in a warmer environment or only taking out in the summer. The third option is the Nemo Tensor. It's very warm and very lightweight, but a little bit less comfortable than both of the other options because it has baffles that lean more towards the horizontal nature with only slight dimples. If you're trying to find the perfect sleeping pad for you, go check out the sleeping pad research tool over at packwizard.com. You can filter and sort the over 200 sleeping pads by R value, price, weight, and a bunch of other features so you can find the perfect pad. I've used this tool to discover that the Big Agnes Zoom UL is the perfect pad for me for ultralight trips where I want a pad that's very lightweight yet still relatively warm and comfortable. If you're a lighter pack user, you can import your packs easily into Pack Wizard and then use the awesome autofill feature to automatically add items from the database to your packs without having to manually enter all that information. I am told all the time that I am dumb for bringing a camp pillow when backpacking. I'm told that I should just take my extra clothing, stuff them into a stuff sack, and use that as a pillow. But the people telling me that, they're wrong. A camp pillow makes a big difference for comfort when you're out in the backcountry and allows you to get a very good night's sleep. There are 4 features that I think a pillow needs to have in order to maximize comfort. The first one being a pad strap or some sort of way to attach the pad to the sleeping pad. If you don't have a pad attachment system, then your pillow is just going to be flying around the tent throughout the night, and it's not going to lead to a comfortable sleep. So on the X-Bed pillow here, I have 2 loops on either side of the pillow that I've attached a piece of shot cord to, and this shot cord then locks the pillow onto the pad. Pillows like the Trekology 2.0 come with a built-in pad strap, and then there's other options like the Sea to Summit Velcro system that locks the pillow onto the sleeping pad. The second thing is that the pillows have to be supportive. Some pillows, when you lay on them, they feel like you're laying on a balloon, but pillows like this X-Ped as well as the Trekology 2.0, those are 2 of my major recommendations for pillows, have very supportive baffling that keep your head supported even if the pillows aren't fully inflated. The third thing is something that I think is overlooked quite often, and that's pillow height. If you're a side sleeper, you want a pillow that's going to be tall enough in order to support your head and your neck, so it's not going to be kinked when you're sleeping. For me, I find a pillow with a 4-inch or 4.5-inch height to be kind of that sweet spot, but it's going to depend on how big you are and how big your shoulders are. If you do have really big shoulders or you find a really tall pillow to be extra comfortable, then a hack for that is to take a sit pad like the Z Seat and then fold that up and tuck it in under the pillow in order to raise the pillow up. The fourth thing isn't the most important, but I do think that it helps provide a good night's sleep, and that's pillow width. With the X-Bed Mega Pillow here, we have a 25-inch wide pillow. So if you have a wide sleeping pad, this is going to cover the entire sleeping pad. So as you toss and turn, your head isn't falling off of the pillow, and it's just really comfortable. I didn't think that that was going to be as big of a deal for me as in the past. I've usually used pillows that are narrower than the width of the sleeping pad, but once I switched over to this Mega Pillow, it's made a very big difference. Camp sandals are pretty popular. I see most people bringing them on backpacking trips, but I encourage you to consider camp slippers. There's a few features that I think camp slippers have that make them awesome and make them sometimes a better option than camp sandals. The 2 big things that set camp slippers apart from camp sandals are warmth and protection. If you have a slipper like I have here, which has some insulation to it, it's going to keep your foot a lot warmer. So if you're in the Canadian Rockies like I am, where the temperature dips a lot at night, then a camp slipper is going to be really comfortable for you. For protection, a lot of the time they have a waterproof bottom to them that's going to keep your foot a little bit drier, especially as you walk around in wet grass and things like that. And then they also protect you from bugs and sticks with this upper part here. When I'm wearing camp sandals, a lot of the time bugs are trying to bite through my socks and get at my skin. But with a camp slipper, you have full protection that bugs can't get through. We've talked a lot about things that are going to help with comfort while at camp, but comfort on trail is going to make a big difference as well, especially when it comes to how comfortable you are at camp and while sleeping. And probably the biggest thing that I find that results in comfort on trail is making sure that you have appropriate footwear. I don't really review footwear on this channel because everyone's foot is different and everyone's needs with footwear is going to be different. So make sure that you're doing your research, going into stores, and trying shoes on. But the things that are kind of universal that I look for in a piece of footwear in order to be comfortable on trail are making sure that the forefoot fits. So I need a shoe that's going to be wide enough in the front, but then also locks in my heel. If you have any slippage in the heel, then you're going to start getting blisters and things like that. And if you don't have enough width in the forefoot, then it's going to have your toes kind of sliding around together, and that's going to create blisters as well. The other thing is making sure that you have enough cushion in the shoe. Some people have very strong feet. They can get away with a very minimal shoe, but if you're working at a desk or not spending a lot of time on your feet, then you're probably going to need a little bit more cushion throughout the shoe in order to be comfortable while hiking long days. I also want a shoe that's going to have great grip. I find that Vibram Mega Grip is the best sole material in order to be sticky while also being durable. So I make sure that every shoe I get has a Vibram Mega Grip sole. For me, the best shoe out there right now is the Hoka Speed Goat 5s. I have here the regular version, but my foot is kind of widened out. I'm going to be having to go to the wide version from here on out. Go check out this video if you want to see my full ultra comfort gear list. I list out all the specific items that I bring on backpacking trips when I want to be as comfortable as possible. These include items like slippers, really robust pillows, as well as my sleeping pad of choice.